I want to move to Japan, but whenever I watch YouTube videos about foreigners talking here, it's either they're an English teacher or stuck in a traditional Japanese company with a brutal work culture. And honestly, neither of them sounds great. So today, I'm talking to foreigners who found a job at an international company and love working there.
How does it feel like living the dream here?
Yeah, absolutely incredible. I love it.
I want to know exactly how to land a job in Japan, what challenges they face, and how did they overcome them. And what advice do they have for someone like me who wants to move to Japan but don't want to work in those horrible work culture. So let's find out.
I'm Timothy van der Bilt. I am from the Netherlands. I studied animation audiovisual design and I've been working on theme park projects and themed entertainment projects professionally for about 10 years now, all over the world.
My name is Raymond DeBacker. I'm from originally America, New York. I am right now 42 and I've been in Japan for 15 years. I worked at a ramen shop. I still do. I've been there for 9 years.
I am Phil. I am from India. I graduated very recently, like 3-4 months back from university. I have done my bachelor's in data science and engineering.
So we have here 3 expats with each a different job. One is an art director, the other one is working inside a ramen shop, and the last one is a front-end developer. But why did they decide to go to Japan? And maybe it's also one of your reasons.
I decided to come to Japan because I wanted to go out of my country. Some of it was for experience, but some of it was also because I'm a transgender person. I was not really sure that my parents would accept me or not. So I wanted to become financially stable before I come out to them.
I worked in Japan in 2018 and that was kind of a trial or first taste. And since then I always wanted to come back. Now I'm back since 5 months to work for the same company.
When I was very, very young, when I was 6 years old, I had a dream that I went to Japan. And at 6 years old, geography-wise, I don't know where the F Japan was. My parents were very dismissive about it. And they're like, okay, that's nice, go play. Well, many years later, I followed that same dream. How does it feel like living the dream here?
Yeah, absolutely incredible.
It's incredible to hear how everyone has their own reason. But what's your reason for moving to Japan? Deciding to move to Japan is just the first step. What's really the challenge is how to actually get a job. So how did these expats got a job? And is it something for you?
How did you end up finding your job here in Japan?
Basically, our university has a tie-up with companies and universities here. From our university, there are more than 100 people, like more than 100 alumni all over Japan. So almost 90 are in Tokyo and some of us are in Kyoto. So we have a good connection in Japan.
Like, how did you manage to find a job here in Japan? Gaijin Pop, Craigslist, japansjobs.com. All 3 websites are prevalent for looking for jobs for Gaijin. Or Gaikokujin, excuse me. Also, you can do YOLO Japan, YOLO. That's a very common, known website you can use to look for jobs in Japan. A lot of the jobs that I found were from Gaijin Pop.
I've been trying over the years, just sending out my CV and praying. For me, there's only basically 2 companies in Japan that I could work for here, which is one that involves a mouse and one that involves a planet. And I tried for both. And the one with the mouse I also had a couple interviews with, but then at the time they decided to hire a local person, which I was not.
Why they chose like a local here?
Just for visa reasons, because you need to then bring somebody over and there's this whole, expat package that you should kind of provide.
Many companies come in our university for hiring. So initially, this company came to our college and they took a coding test for all of us, and there were 2 or 3 questions, and after that there were 2 interviews. Interviews were not so much technical but more on a general side, like your motive to work in Japan and how will you add a value to our company and such questions. So there were just 2 rounds and the result was declared on the same day.
The job that I'm currently at now is actually a walk-in, which is a very rare opportunity. If you take your resume and you don't apply online, you just go to the company and say, yeah, I'm looking for a job. That fortitude goes a long way because everybody uses online. Everybody puts their resume, it's just another resume. They look at the resume, after the first 3 seconds, if you don't catch their eye, you are fucked. So go to the actual company that you're applying for, make a resume, go to the company and say, hey, I applied online a few days ago, I wanted to follow up. Here's my resume. Is there anybody I can talk to currently just to get some ideas? That type of initiative, they actually like.
Even here in Japan, they really appreciate it.
The foreign side does, yes. If you're talking to the Japanese side, good luck. It's not easy.
My current job, I landed just after marrying my beautiful wife, who is Japanese, and then it was a lot easier because now I'm able to get a spouse visa, and I'm just able to work here.
Awesome. And do you like it so far, like your current job?
Yeah, I love it. So it's really great that our company provides an inclusive environment and also taking care of the expats, that there are some translators around, and that's been extremely helpful. And I also really love that it's a great mix of Japanese people and mixed people from all over, from US, even from the Caribbean. It's been a great mix.
So they all came to Japan in completely different ways. One is a highly skilled professional, which made it easy for him to get hired by a company. Another got a job the traditional way, applying to as many companies as possible. But what makes him stand out is that he actually visited the companies in person. And the last one landed a job to his university, which has connections with Japanese companies. But it was really like working inside an international company. And what were the biggest challenges in finding a job?
How is like your work-life balance?
In this company, the work-life balance is great because we have flex time, so we can come anytime, we can leave anytime, as long as we are completing the hours of the whole month. So let's say if my overtime hours are more than 8 hours, I can just take a day off. I don't have to use my paid leave for it. If I have accumulated more than 8 hours of overtime, I can take a day off
Without many notice?
just inform your manager 2-3 days before that you have so much overtime, you're just taking a day off. And they also pay for our rent.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the process was very hassle-free. They already found the apartment for us and we just had to come and put our bags in it. Our company is a green flag.
It's definitely a green flag. What were like your challenges, like when you were like looking for a job?
For me, the challenge is always that I'm so specific in what I do. There's only so many companies that I can work for, but it's a very big industry, themed entertainment, because everybody is around the whole world. But I always say it's very small because everybody knows each other.
For me, it was there was not much challenges, I would say, because I didn't have to go out of my way to find this job. Like this company came in our college placement, I simply gave the test and I got selected.
What kind of qualifications are for foreigners most important if they want to live in Japan?
I think, again, highlighting, how there is this difference, especially in terms of being able to be very skilled in a specific topic, and also being able to, what are you bringing to the company that they cannot find in Japan?
They are like really looking for specialized, high-skilled foreigners.
Yeah, in some certain areas, I believe they are. I feel like a lot of the Japanese culture and working culture has a lot of hierarchy. So it's always like, oh, I do this part, and then my manager has to tell me what to do. But otherwise, they might not really do something extra. Whereas we in the West are more like, oh, this is something that I'm not normally dealing with, but it should be done, so let me just do it. And that's, I think, something that in combination with the more classic culture can really complement each other.
If you try to go from an off-campus route for finding a job, you would at least need N2 or N3 level of Japanese and also at least a degree, because degree is important for you to get a work visa, because without degree you won't get a work visa. They can't issue your certificate of eligibility without your degree. The stream doesn't matter. Like let's say I'm coming in an engineering job, so even if I would have done a bachelor's in, let's say, a language course, then also it doesn't matter, but you need to have some sort of degree.
So having a degree is important to get a job in Japan. Well, not everyone agrees on that statement.
You don't need college. I flunked out. I dropped out of college after 2 years.
So like work experience is more important?
Work experience is more important. Because I had that one job in the beginning, I learned what not to do, but I also learned how to do it.
What I haven't mentioned yet is that this expat first started in Japan as an ALT, Assistant Language Teacher. He was an English teacher before he found a more suitable job. Actually, this is a quite common path for foreigners who wants to go to Japan but can't get a normal job. So what most foreigners do is becoming an English teacher, working there for 1 or 2 years, and after 1 or 2 years applying to other jobs. That 1 to 2 years of work experience is important for many companies. It shows that you can handle Japan's work and life culture.
You need at least, before you work at a major company, you need at least a minimum of 1 year experience working in Japan. no matter where you go. If you find a shit company that is a ALT that dispatches you, then you're golden. But
Just the 1 year, that's the most important.
that's the most important, yeah.
like how much important is like learning like Japanese.
I highly recommend that you do some amount of studying.
It's not just important work-wise, it is very important to live here. Because it will make a lot of difference in your quality of life once you know Japanese. Because you will not be able to make friends without Japanese much. Like most you can do is find international community groups. But to like really enjoy the life here, I think language is very important. You will be able to mingle in this culture in a more better way.
When I first came, because I didn't know any Japanese, I was seriously overwhelmed at what many of interviews went through because I didn't understand a lot of the Japanese that they were talking. It was a very big challenge for me. And even if they have an interpreter, it's not as straightforward because if you don't know Japanese, they could screw you over in the interview and you'll never know it. If the posting says you'll get paid $2,300 and there's nothing else on the posting saying that you need this much experience or you need this or you need this, you need to know Japanese, if it doesn't say any of that and you go into an interview, they will go ahead and say, oh yeah, by the way, you're just starting out, you have no experience, so we're going to start you at $1,900. When you're losing that much money and not knowing about it, it definitely kicks you in the ass.
And they don't tell about it. You have to know.
Yeah, you have to know this going in, that you will be screwed if you don't do your due diligence.
Learning Japanese isn't just helpful. Not only does it make everyday tasks easier, but it also significantly help you landing a good job. Many companies prefer or even require some level of Japanese. And knowing the language helps you navigating the contracts, working culture and legal rights. It even can protect you from unfair treatments by ensuring you understand the labor laws and company policies. So simply put, the more you know about Japanese, the more control you have over your career and your quality of life in Japan.
What were like for you the biggest cultural challenges here in Japan compared to the Netherlands?
Well, of course, that I don't know Japanese yet, so many official documents and official things go in Japanese. So that was a challenge, but luckily having a Japanese wife helps a lot with that, and I'm very thankful for her for that.
Here people are really polite. Even if they are not polite from inside, they'll show that they are polite. In India, people are more on the straightforward side, but they care too much about the social image they have to maintain. So yeah, like they'll smile on your face and they might not like you as a person. Making friends can be a challenge here because people are friendly, but you can't be their friend easily. Let's say if you ask someone for direction, they might even come to drop you to the location you ask. If you invite them to your house, they will be hesitant. They are friendly, but you can't be the part of their friend circle.
Here, you have to sometimes find out a certain way to ask questions, because if you ask it in just a slightly different way, it just will not happen if you're dealing with like official office or anything. But if you find out the correct way to ask it, suddenly a door might open up that before they just say, oh, dame, no.
If you're too like upfront or too direct, like it might feel too rude.
We are very open, and it doesn't really, like I said, there's not a lot of egos going on, so that helps a lot. And it might also just be me that I try to always see everybody as equal. So as an art director, I love to just hear anybody's input. Then if I'm gonna do something with it, that's up to me. But but I do listen, and that's a very important part, I think, to make that work.
Listening is the most important part. Communication in Japan works very different from what we're used to in the West. It's not just about what you ask, it's how you ask it. In the West, we expect to be direct, hearing clear yes or no answers. But in Japan, the way you phrase something can completely change the response you get. Pay attention to how people speak. Notice unspoken cues and try to mirror them. Otherwise, things simply won't happen in the way you want or expect. Learning to listen is just one important skill. So what else do you need to know before moving to Japan? What mistake do most people make that could be easily avoided?
If you want to come to Japan, learn the labor laws of Japan. Learn them. Know them inside and out and protect yourself. Print them out, keep them on you. Because if you go to an interview and you don't know the laws, you will be screwed over, guaranteed.
There's often actually people that contact me like over LinkedIn or something to get some tips about living here. And the one thing that I usually get back to is, you have to find the difference between you just wanting to go to Japan because you have this romanticized image versus what you actually can bring to the country and what you can actually do for companies that locals are not educated for or interested in, maybe even.
I would advise them to like first come to Japan, like maybe visit for a month, or maybe come through the semester exchange route, or come to the language school route. Japan is not the same as you see from the reels, and like, you know, it's fascinating and everything. Living here and visiting here is a lot of difference, and there are a lot of instances when like people think that they really want to live in Japan and they come here and then they really get just trapped in loneliness and then they go. So don't do those mistakes and just focus on studying Japanese. It's not like you can't survive here without Japanese. You can survive. There are a lot of people who have been living here for like more than 10 years and they still haven't like learned Japanese. You can obviously go by the Google Translate option. But I'm just saying that your quality of life will be much better if you learn Japanese.
If you really want to come here, firstly, you know, come and go for a vacation, see what it's like. Don't go to only the cities, but also go to like countryside areas and figure out what the real life is about and what is difficult. Then try to kind of find, well, what is it what you can do here.
Not only like think about like the beauty of living here, but also what can I do for Japan? What can I do for a certain company?
In the West, there's this big idea about what Japan is, and it's somewhere true, but it's also very far away from the real truth of what it is to live
Like
here.
actually living here is so different.
But for me, it's fantastic.
You still love it.
Of course.
Learn the culture.
It's so different.
It is. And don't be ignorant, don't be stupid. Like, there was 2 reports just in Tokyo this month.
After this, he goes on a pretty long rant about how phones are stupid. Just like these guys. And just from these 2 pictures, you get the point. This will save you so much time.
If you're going to come to this country, don't be stupid. Please, for the love of God. I am American, and when I hear this shit, it just makes me so embarrassed. Because then everybody looks at me like I'm the reason. Don't fucking do that. The biggest advice I can give you is be respectful. You're in a different country, different culture. It's a culture shock for you, I know, but be respectful. Don't be stupid. For the love of God.
Thank you so much for listening. How was it? Did you learn something? I hope this video makes you feel more motivated. It makes moving to Japan more easier. If you like this video, click the like button. If you want to see more, click subscribe. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments. See you next time. Doei doei.